All of my wonderful subscribers and whoever watches this video. Today I'm bringing a review on a palette that I picked up yesterday and that I tried today. It is the Shaaanxo palette by BH Cosmetics. It is a 9-color eyeshadow palette and a 9-color lipstick palette. I picked this up yesterday with one other palette. I'll be doing a review of that one, and I also will be posting another video comparing it to the other two collab palettes that I have. I'm going to do a comparison between the Bubs Beauty palette, the Shannon palette, and the Carli Bybel palette, just to kind of show you which one, if you're thinking about picking up all three of these, or if you're just looking into these three and trying to figure out which one to pick. So I decided just to do the Shannon palette today since I've used it today, and I'll do another review on the Bubs Beauty one, and then my final video and my final thoughts on all three of them will be posted. I've had the Carli Bybel palette since August, so I'll kind of be touching more on that one in the comparison video, and then I'll talk about all three. So let's jump into this. So this is what the palette looks like. It's just your standard cardboard magnetic packaging. It has Shaaanxo and kind of like a goldish, silverish kind of metallic-y material. I like the packaging, the way it feels. It's easy. If you get it dirty, you can just easily wipe it off. It has kind of like a strobe light, strobe-y kind of pattern on the front of it, and it's white and pink. I know in Shannon's little announcement when she showed this palette, she said it was supposed to like match the lights in her background if you ever watch any of her videos. I personally love Shaaanxo. I think she's a wonderful YouTuber. She's just wonderful at what she does. She's very down to earth, and I've watched her since I was like a freshman in high school. She really got me into makeup, and I love watching her. I still watch her videos all the time. So on one side you have your lipsticks, and on the other side you have your eyeshadows. I personally love this because if you've used lipstick in a palette before, I'm not a big fan of lipsticks that come in like the pans and the palettes, just because they're not, I just don't usually use them. I like having a liquid lipstick or a bullet lipstick to take with me if I'm going to work or something, or if I know I'm going to be eating and touch it up. I don't want to carry on a bulky palette. So let's go ahead and talk about the eyeshadows. I have used the eyeshadows today. I will point out which ones I used today and kind of talk about them individually. So you get a nice size mirror. It's not like the Carli Bybel palette where you can bend it back and hold it like and put the mirror behind it. The mirror kind of stands up on its own like this. And these are what the eyeshadows look like. You get 3 mattes and you get one kind of satiny finish if you look really closely in it. If you have the palette, you can see where the little tiny glitters are, but they're really not that noticeable when you put them on. They kind of blend away. There was really no fallout at all when I used this palette. I did get a tiny bit with the darker shade, but usually darker shades have a little bit more fallout, and I really love this palette. To me, I get kind of Manny MUA vibes from this palette. I don't know why. Whenever I look at it, I kind of think of the Manny MUA palette. I don't own the Manny MUA palette. I don't know if anybody else thought this. I know there's comparisons between the Kylie Jenner Burgundy palette, but yeah, if you think this is kind of a dupe of the Manny MUA, let me know. I thought of Manny MUA's palette when I saw this. So let's jump into the swatches real quick. I'm going to first swatch the top 3 rows. I don't have any primer or anything on my hand. I have swatched it today a little bit just to kind of play around with the colors and see what I wanted to do. So the first shade we kind of have is it's like a bone color. I did use this kind of on my brow bone a little bit. Then we got your typical champagne color, which I usually see in all palettes. And they're kind of powdery. This one was, but the other one, the bone color, wasn't really powdery or chalky or anything, really nicely pigmented. I used the champagne one as a cheekbone highlighter and a little highlighter under my brow bone. And then we have this kind of like rose gold color that I used on my lids. I don't know if you'll be able to see them really well because they are pretty light. So the bone color is right over here, kind of blends into my skin, the champagne and the rose gold. So the first row was actually really nice. They blended out, they applied really nicely. I did have to use a little bit of MAC Fix Plus on the rose gold shade just because it is kind of a lighter color. Next we got, on the second row, we got kind of this mustardy yellow kind of color. It's not overly pigmented, which is really nice, but it is pretty pigmented. I got this bronzy gold color, and I did use the mustard color in my crease kind of as a transition / crease shade, since there's really not any good transition shades in this palette. And then we got this brick red color, which I absolutely loved. I kind of dragged it into my crease and focused it on my outer V today. So we got the mustard yellow color. You may not be able to see it. It kind of shears away into my self tanner. I have a bronzy gold color right here. And then we got that brick red. It looks a little bit browner, like kind of more of a muted brown on the camera for some reason. But in person, it looks like a brick red. So on the final row, which is where all the dark shades are, we got this metallic, deep kind of taupey brown color. It's really hard to kind of describe because there's like a red undertone to it, but it's still kind of cool tone and looks taupey. Then we got this really cool shade. It's like a red duochrome color. Like when the light hits it, you can see blue on it. It reminds me of the definer shade in the Comfort Zone palette by Wet n Wild. And then we got the last shade, which is the deepest color in the palette. It's kind of like a cool tone brown. That one has a little bit of a kick up to it. So we got that mauve shade, kind of like the taupey brown kind of color. And then we got the red shade with the blue hue to it. You may not be able to see it on camera real well. And then we got the brown, deep brown shade. So overall, I was really impressed with these eyeshadows. They were pigmented, they applied really nicely, they blended effortlessly. I didn't have to go back in and reapply it because the color blended away. They blend really nicely. It's pigmented, but it's not overly pigmented. So I think this palette would be really great for beginners because to me, I love my eyeshadows really pigmented, like my Subculture palette. I love the pigmentation in there. But the problem is if you put too much on your eye, you may have a hard time blending it and you may just be left with a hot mess on your eye. So I like that they were buildable and that they were really pigmented and they're really creamy. They're not too powdery. There was a little bit of kick up from the brown, like dark brown shade and a little bit on the champagne side. But other than that, I had no complaints with this eyeshadow palette. I did use them with primer, so I haven't really seen them budge, but I haven't had any issues with creasing throughout the day. They stay pretty pigmented. I know some people say shadows oxidize. I haven't had any issues with oxidization. It was a wonderful palette, and I think this is a great palette. You have your nice neutral shades up in here, but then if you just want to kind of take it to the next level, you can definitely go down here and add some of these darker shades. I think they're wonderful. I can definitely tell she put a lot of time and effort into this palette, and from what I've heard, none of the beauty people that collab with BH Cosmetics haven't had any issues, because I know there were some videos where people were complaining about there was just some scandals, and I haven't heard any scandals with these. So that was really nice to hear that they did not give anybody when they collabed with them a hard time. So I definitely recommend the eyeshadows, but let's go ahead and talk about the lipsticks, which are on the other side. So it comes with a nice mirror up here as well, and it just says on the under here it says Shaaanxo, and it said that on the other side as well. I definitely could tell these are really bright lipsticks if you can't tell, but you do have a wide range. Your bright colors are kind of over here, and like I said, Shannon definitely took her time with this palette and definitely took her time with these lipsticks, because I have to say for the first time I actually like lipsticks in a pan because of this palette. I definitely recommend using a lip brush. I used this lip brush to apply the shades, and they applied really nicely. I used this shade right down here today, and it applied so nicely. Like, it was really pigmented, it was creamy, it didn't apply patchy. I wouldn't recommend using your finger because usually it's where it can kind of shear it out and make it look more like a gloss. But if that's what you're going for, you're more than welcome to use your finger. So you definitely have a nice little range of neutral shades down here. And then you got some pops of pinks, like a Barbie doll pink over here. You got a violet kind of color. And a palette without an orange lipstick is definitely not a Shannon palette, because Shannon even said in her video she had to include an orange eyeshadow because she feels orange lipstick, because she felt that orange lipstick is very underrated, and once she put that on, I fell in love with this shade, and I cannot wait to create a look using this lip shade. But then also down here, you have some dark red vampy colors. You have like a blood red, and then you got like a deep wine color. Gonna go ahead and swatch this and just kind of show you, and I will try to post some pictures on my Instagram with me wearing these colors, just so you can see them on the lips. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the top row. So right here we got kind of like a muted pink shade. Like, it's pink, but it's not overly pink where it's like in your face. It is very natural. Then over here we got kind of like a peachy coral color. It is beautiful. I definitely am digging this shade. It's like a salmon pink. Then over here we got the bright red kind of corally color, like the orangey color. So we got the muted pink, the kind of like pinky salmon, and then we get the orange. They look kind of dark in the picture. I'll try to post a picture of swatches on my Instagram page if I get a chance, just so you guys can see them with flash and see the true color. Then over here, the color I used was kind of like it's like a muted darker pink. Like, it's not really pink, it has like some brown hints to it. Then we got the violet color. These are definitely colors I could see Shannon wearing, and she definitely does in her videos. Then we got the hot pink color. So we got the muted kind of brownish pink, we got the violet, and then we got the hot pink color. Over here we got another kind of lighter muted brownish pink color. Then we got the blood red, which I love red lipsticks. I bet you could tell from my first video. This one I wasn't too impressed with though. It kind of shears out really easily. And then we got the wine colors. So we got the muted pink, the blood red, and then the dark wine. The blood red to me kind of looks like you'd have to really definitely build it up. It looks a little patchy to me. But overall, I love these lipsticks. I think they're great. I definitely could see anybody wearing these, any skin tone. You definitely can play around with them. And like she said, you can mix them and create your own colors. I think that's great. And I can definitely tell she put her heart into this palette. So my overall thoughts on this palette, wearing it and swatching wise, I definitely love the eyeshadows. The eyeshadows, I don't think there's really one bad eyeshadow in here that applied patchy. I haven't played around with all the colors I used. The only issue I had is that rose gold shade. I did have to wet the brush to kind of get the really metallic feel of the color. But other than that, I definitely can see anybody wearing this palette, can see any skin tone looking beautiful in it. I can see a beginner getting a lot of use out of this. I definitely feel you could travel with this palette. You could easily slip it in your suitcase, purse, bag, whatever you use. And you really don't have to bring any lipsticks with you. Like, you can just pop this out and wear it. You can have some nighttime lipsticks, and you have some nice fun lipsticks to play around with. And you also have some everyday wear lipsticks. So I definitely recommend this palette. This palette does retail for $14.50 at Ulta, and I believe on BH Cosmetics it is now $14.50 on there. So I definitely recommend getting your hands on it and trying it out. I definitely can see anybody using this, and it is so much fun. I think it's a great palette. I know so many people were like, you need to try it, and finally I caved in and I bought it, and I don't regret purchasing this. I can definitely see me getting a lot of use out of this. So yeah, that is my final thoughts on the Shaaanxo palette. Like I said, I'll post one tomorrow reviewing the Bubs Beauty palette, and then I will start recording the palette where I talk about all three of them and talk a little bit more on this one as well. I've definitely used this one, so I have some really good thoughts on this one as well. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or requests or want to leave me a message, please make sure they're really nice. I am trying to get better at this YouTube thing. I'm not the best person on YouTube, but yeah, leave me a comment down below. I will link my Instagram page where you guys can follow me, and I will try to post some swatches. I'll also post what I'm wearing today. If you have any questions or want to know what I'm wearing on my face today, I will definitely post that down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!